This is our second video on pronouns. And in this video, we're going to talk about pronoun and antecedent agreement. These things must always agree in your writing. Imagine you're walking down the street, you think you're all alone, and all of a sudden you look over your shoulder and there's somebody walking right next to you and you have no idea where they came from. This can be a very scary thing to have happen. Uh, Other times we're out to eat with a group of friends and we're like, I'm going to go to the restroom real quick. And we come back and everybody's gone. And then our feelings are hurt because we think that our friends left us. We really hate it in our lives when people appear and disappear on us. And sometimes what happens when we use pronouns is people appear and disappear from our writing. And that makes things very confusing for the reader. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, how to make sure that we are always accounting for all of the people in the room when we're using these pronouns. As stated in that first video, just a quick reminder here, pronouns refer to an earlier noun or pronoun in the sentence, and this is called an antecedent. No matter how confused you get about these rules that we're going to talk about today, it all boils down to this foundational principle that singular antecedents get singular pronouns, plural antecedents get plural pronouns. And so that brings us to our first rule here. When you're dealing with words like someone, anybody, nobody, all of the words you see on your screen here, they are all singular. And so what happens sometimes is students write a sentence like this: everyone have a role to fill in getting the job done. As you can see from the rule, the word everyone means one. But our verb here is the verb have, and have is a plural verb. And you can see that one and two don't match. And so what's happened here is people have magically appeared. We're not sure where they come from, and there's a little bit of unclarity in what's going on here. So we need to find a way to balance these things out. The easiest way to do this is to usually just change your verb to a singular verb. Change the verb here from have to has. Now everything balances on the level of one. The second rule that we want to talk about is the antecedent and the pronoun have to agree in gender. A student must see his counselor before registering for classes. Student is one, his is one, and so on the surface it seems that we balance, but in a way this sentence is sexist. It does not account for the possibility or the likelihood that this student could be a female. And so we want to make sure that we include all of the genders, especially when we're dealing with singular sentences. And so we would need to rewrite this sentence along the lines of a student must see his or her counselor before registering for classes. And that word or lets me know that I'm still dealing with one, but now my sentence is much more gender appropriate. That said, rule number 3 basically says check with your teacher before following rule number 2. Some teachers think that rule number 2 is stupid because it leads to a lot of confusing. For instance, you might end up having to write a sentence like this: a student must see his or her counselor before registering for classes, and he or she must also get parent approval for his or her schedule next year before his or her selections can be official. Man, there is a lot of stuff going on in this sentence. And so some teachers are willing to chunk rule number 2 in the interest of being concise and understandable. Some teachers insist that rule number 2 be followed. So definitely check with your teacher to make sure you know which way to write your sentences. Rule number 4 talks about when we're dealing with more than one subject. You can see here in our example sentence that we have Josh and Emily. We have two people. And so when we get down to our pronoun needs to reflect that both people exist. And so in this case, we would say something along the lines of Josh and Emily packed their bags and went on vacation. Rule number 5 talks about what to do when those things are joined by the words or and nor. Or and nor always mean we have a choice. And so at the end of the day, it's going to result in one. So in our example sentence here, neither Audrey or CJ will eat her vegetables. We cannot use the word there here in replace of the word her. It has to be the word her because there means two, her means one, and we're really talking about both girls individually here. So we need to make sure that our pronoun stays singular as well. The next rule that we're going to talk about is when a singular antecedent and a plural antecedent are joined by or nor, the antecedent closest to the pronoun determines the pronoun. So in example 5, both things were singular. But what happens when one of your things is singular and one of your things is plural? And you kind of see what to do here toward the bottom of your screen. Either the teacher or the parents. Teacher is singular, parents is plural. What do I do? Parents happens to be the word that's closest to my pronoun there. And so I'm going to choose the word there because there matches parents. But if I were to have that sentence flipped around, either the parents or the teacher, now teacher is closest to my pronoun. And so I'm going to choose a singular pronoun like his. And again, you're going to want to be careful. This kind of goes back into rule number 2. Rule number 2 can be a little bit absurd if we follow it out the way it's written. The teacher could be female, but his or her wish in this particular sentence sounds a little off, and so it's definitely going to be okay to go with one pronoun. But again, check with your teacher as to how they like rule number 2 because it does impact rule number 6 as well. Rule number 7 talks about collective nouns, things like army, band, jury, where a whole bunch of people are involved, but they're all acting as one thing. Okay, so here we have the team is winning their game. There is the incorrect word here because team is functioning as one. The word there is functioning as two, and so I need to change that word there to its. Its is one thing, team is one thing, and now my sentence is perfectly balanced. The 8th rule that we need to run through is both, few, many, and several are always plural. And so when we use a pronoun after those words, that pronoun needs to be plural as well. Many people believe their rights should be protected by our legislature. Many is two, there is two, everything balances. We are good to go. Be careful. It is a pronoun. It's also a contraction that means it is. You see here in our example sentence, the cat chased its tail. Make sure that you are using things correctly here. The pronoun its refers to the word cats, but its can also be it is. And my advice to you is don't write the contraction its. That way you know every time I put its on a paper, I'm using the pronoun and I don't have to worry about spelling. But if you want help with that, I do have a video on spelling contractions for you as well. Very quick wrap up to this video. Clarity is very important in the writing process because unlike face-to-face communication, the feedback element comes too late. Pronouns may help us avoid repetition, but they can also lead to clarity problems in our writing. If the antecedent is singular, the pronoun should be singular. If the antecedent is plural, the pronoun should be plural. Follow that rule and your writing should be great. If you would like more help on this, feel free to send me an email or come by my office during the office hours on your syllabus. You can also stop by L200 and talk with our wonderful tutors down in the Writing Center. If you're an online student or you just prefer online resources, Purdue University has a great website that you see there on your screen.